Greetings, everyone. I know a good portion of you actually missed me, but I'm back here. It's kind of hard not to burn out when working on Murder Drones videos lately because, frankly, I've had a lot of frustrating encounters with a lot of the big YouTubers in that community. Sunnyside, VA, Yags from the War Drone, your local random 10 years ago. So, it's really, I just don't even know what it is. There's a lot of people in that community that just, I'm not going to be like that one guy who tried hating on the show or entire community because stuff random people did, but I will say for some reason, in the general Murder Drones community, I do not get very much respect. In order to alleviate a bit of that stress, I'm just going to be focusing on a simple topic I wanted to speak about for a while here, something FNAF related instead. Today I want to talk about why the mystery, and really why I solved the mystery of Glamrock Bonnie in Security Breach. And to clarify, I am not here to speak of Glamrock Bonnie's killer. Someone I met on Reddit, Bon Johnzy, has perfectly explained that. They're going to be releasing an actual video about it soon. Or, I don't really know when they'll be releasing it, but trust me, it is worth it. That thing is a masterpiece. I explicitly went into that with a very biased view of who would be responsible for killing Glamrock Bonnie. I was absolutely blown away and agree with their interpretation and take on what happened there. And speaking of which, before I get started on this video, please go subscribe to Bon Johnzy. The link will be in the description. And hopefully the comments, I can't exactly be sure about that one because YouTube for some reason deletes all of my comments linking stuff, even though it's on my own channel. But seriously, show them some appreciation. Their theory was recently plagiarized by Twisted Animatronic, which I know that they did eventually get credit, which makes it a little less scummy on Twisted Animatronic's part, but still very unfair. So go subscribe to them and help contribute, because it is just horrible when a bigger channel gets all the fame, popularity, and recognition for something they didn't come up with. Anyway, here, on the contrary, rather than wanting to discuss Glamrock Bonnie's killer, I have a much different idea. I want to discuss why Glamrock Bonnie's death matters, what its role is in the overarching narrative of the Steel Wool era, and why, truly why, this story has put such an emphasis on it. So, I'm pretty sure most of you know how I do things at this point with breaking things down, so let's just get right into it. First, here's some background for those who don't know, because admittedly, I don't usually make Five Nights at Freddy's videos so far. Glamrock Bonnie is a mystery first introduced in Security Breach. Obviously, you don't really get to see Glamrock Bonnie in the game, and the simple reason for that is he's dead. He's disappeared. It's something very heavily emphasized despite rarely ever mentioned. Freddy explicitly talks about how he misses Glamrock Bonnie and doesn't go to Bonnie Ball anymore because of it. When Gregory sees Vanny and Freddy doesn't, he says that there's no rabbit at the Pizzaplex, not anymore. and there's a bunch of notes scattered around detailing Glamrock Bonnie's last seen path before he disappears. The thing is, while obviously his killer was an important mystery that has been solved 100%, I have zero doubt that Bon Johnzy is correct. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, but I have zero doubt he's correct. However, I think people tend to overlook a much bigger question, which is why is the game trying to make it so important? Which made me realize something. Glamrock Bonnie's mystery goes far beyond that. In Ruin, we get to, if we disable all the caution bots in the Vanny network, then it'll open a secret room in Bonnie Ball, where you can see Bonnie's destroyed body hidden behind the bowling lanes. Interestingly enough there, Bonnie is obviously shredded in the stomach area. There's the green paint, etc. All stuff he covered, but the main thing is, interestingly enough, this, and they mentioned this, but they mentioned that it's a direct match to the injuries from on Glamrock Freddy. I'm pretty sure they mentioned that specifically to compare that the fact that both of them had to be destroyed by something similar, by the staff bots, but I don't want to spoil what the actual video is trying to say, and here I want to look at more on a thematic level, because there's a clear thematic parallel going on, not a parallel as in a stand-in, obviously, between Glamrock Bonnie and Glamrock Freddy, which is important because they've always kind of been thematic parallels since the start. Freddy and Bonnie, the two that were originally there, and Fredbears, the two Springlock animatronics, and the two that are most closely tied with William and Henry, respectively. It's important to note that Glamrock Freddy, for example, which this is something another YouTuber talked about. I don't exactly remember their channel name, but I'm going to post their link in the description as well. Find this. But, and note, I did actually notice this myself, okay? I'm not just going to copy this. It's something I noticed and they put far more detail into. I won't be taking all the credit for it, but I'm also not stealing this. Anyway, someone discovered that Glamrock Freddy is actually Fredbear, not Freddy. Something that's very subtle, but definitely very obvious when you look into the details. There's no way to deny that that's the intent here. It is beyond obvious and blatant. So, that is important because who's to say that Glamrock Bonnie isn't in some way meant to be a spring Bonnie of sorts? Well, they don't function directly as a spring-lock suit or endoskeleton. It is still definitely clear that there's a connection going on between them, and that only becomes more interesting when you observe the details surrounding them. For one, for those who don't know, caution bots are possessed. Caution bots are directly called souls in the Ruin files, and even more so, there's a scrapped soul meter for them. Disabling the caution bots is deactivating. It's not just deactivating them, but shutting down or freeing the souls in them. I'll leave the semantics of which one it is for everyone else to debate, but regardless, the big point is the same. There's a lot of missing children's incident imagery throughout Security Breach and in general modern FNAF, referencing the original 5. killed by William Afton. And, of course, Charlie, who is now, I guess, being retconned to be a sixth, and they're somehow retconning the missing children's incident into 1983, but that's a different topic. And anyway, this is all important because it goes back to the origins of Golden Freddy here. While we're not exactly sure when this happened, I'm not going to use Stitch Wraith as evidence, but it does feel very clear to me that there are multiple souls in Golden Freddy. Not only does it act differently at different points, but there was clearly a Happiest Day receiver in FNAF 3 who was a soul in Golden Freddy. And yet there's a completely different Happiest Day exclusive to Golden Freddy in Ultimate Custom Night. Meaning that there had to be two different souls to be freed in two different Happiest Day occasions throughout the story. This is interesting because the 4 caution bots surrounding Glamrock Bonnie are also souls. And if you look closely, Glamrock Bonnie's solid yellow glowing eyes fade whenever you disable all 4 caution bots. Meaning that not only is Glamrock Bonnie possessed, but 4 souls are split across the caution bots and Glamrock Bonnie, all interconnected. This is very big because essentially that's most likely our modern equivalent to the missing children's incident. That's most likely what we're trying to reinforce. 4 different souls, the original 4 out of the 5, with a 5th one to complete the original 5 slowly being added. I also don't want to go too much into this, but if Cassie dies, which I don't want to happen, but most likely will at some point, it would be very likely that Cassie could be the one that completes it. She could be the 5th. After all, everyone has noticed the similarities between Cassie and Cassidy. And Cassie was the second spirit in Golden Freddy that moved on in the second Happiest Day. It makes much more thematic sense that way. And Glamrock Bonnie is notably Cassie's Foffer's favorite. I would say Roxy, but I don't think Roxy would work very well because she is blind. And in general, I haven't noticed as strong of a connection to the whole missing children's thing with Roxy. Notably, when you actually take a look at how Glamrock Bonnie parallels Freddy and their injuries condition, the fact that one is a broken down version you see in later games, he was just completely surrounded in mystery compared to the Effer, who gets at least some acknowledgement directly. It's very clear that Glamrock Bonnie is taking a very similar role to the original Golden Freddy, ironically taking the Golden Freddy role from the current Glamrock equivalent to Golden Freddy. Anyway, the big thing is we free the 4 souls in Ruin or shove them down, either one. While we can't say if this is the canon thing because it's optional, it's an Easter egg thing, and one that was very hard to even unlock, but it still is a very possible thing. However, that's only 4. 4 of the 5. That's emphasized so much throughout all the imagery in the game. And I feel like that is a very big deal here. we know that Glamrock Bonnie is taking some form of vengeful spirit role, mainly because in Help Wanted 2, in the Bonnie Bowl minigame, at one point the Bonnie bowling lane will literally start chomping down on you. The Glamrock Bonnie head will start opening and closing its mouth, slowly moving towards you, meaning that the entire bowling lane is possessed. The imagery is Glamrock Bonnie coming to kill you, basically. Some degree of vengefulness is inherent to Glamrock Bonnie, and I feel like this is something that's really building up. There's gotta be a fifth vengeful spirit somewhere, one that will come to possess Glamrock Bonnie. That's why they're hyping up this mystery so much. Glamrock Bonnie is our new Golden Freddy in this story. He is the mysterious, broken animatronic haunted by a spirit that's currently haunting you throughout the games. We already have 4 of them eliminated, most likely. But that one vengeful spirit is still there. And I'd like to talk about why Glamrock Bonnie would be possessed, because I'm pretty sure Twisted Animatronic also covered this, but I honestly vaguely watched his videos and kind of stopped because he was just blatantly ripping off Bon Johnson. And I never really liked his videos anyway. But the reason I think that Glamrock Bonnie is possessed is quite simple. We know that children have been disappearing in the Pizzaplex. That is just a fact. The Mimic, while it doesn't really prioritize killing anyone, it has been recreating the missing children's incident. We know that for a fact. It has witnessed it. And he's currently working to just copy it because he enjoys doing that. Currently, there are about 30 disappearances that we actually know of in the story. One of them being Gregory himself. We know that Cassie, in particular, has a reason to become vengeful, which will become important later. But right now I want to focus on the fact that, in particular, no one actually knows what happened to the bodies. There's plenty of good explanations, like them being burnt in that one room that's constantly on fire in Security Breach. There's no way they have a room that's literally just on fire in Roxy Raceway, above the burn trap area. It's not down there. And no way they just have a room like that that's on fire for no reason. It's got to have some lore significance. On top of that, there is just the obvious fact that it could be hidden behind one of the level 12 doors, one of the level 10 doors. It could be, many of the bodies could be hidden in the staff bots, because if you look and shine a light on any of the injured staff bots' actual wounds, you'll notice that it's red. Actual blood and human skin or flesh is in there. There are many ways where it could be, though I'm pretty sure the staff bots are more so from the all-staff meeting, because I'm still convinced that Vanny killed the entire staff team. But interestingly enough, there is another alternative. The staff, it is very possible that the bodies are all hidden somewhere under the sinkhole, somewhere that we haven't seen yet, or even in one of the sealed off rooms that don't even have security pass but are completely out of order in Security Breach and Ruin. These areas could be completely, I do mean completely, responsible for everything here. They could be where the bodies are hidden. They could be related to the greater mystery at play. And while I can't really evidence that one, I will say regardless, it's most likely Glamrock Bonnie found out about these bodies, and I think that's how this all happened. Glamrock Bonnie got too close to figuring the problem out. We have no reason to think they were evil beforehand, and even now they haven't done anything directly aside from Help Wanted 2, with even the fact that Eclipse's dialogue from Security Breach was originally intended to be from Glamrock Bonnie. All that tells me that Glamrock Bonnie originally would have been trying to help free the souls, but I think that when the souls possessed Glamrock Bonnie, after he tried to help them, Vanny and the Mimic realized that the souls would become vengeful, which is what I think caused the interception, and why I think they specifically had Glamrock Bonnie killed. I think Bon Johnzy also talked about this. I honestly don't remember that part because I was mainly focused on his part about who killed Glamrock Bonnie, but I'm more focusing on what I feel like is the overall series of events and why I think they're so clearly trying to hype up Glamrock Bonnie in the story. We know that the story of Ruin can't be over because it's a cliffhanger. There's something that happens after. This is where I feel like it really intercepts. I do think that Cassie, while I don't think she should die in Ruin, I do feel like it's most likely that she's going to be the one that is the fifth spirit, the vengeful one, that completes the set and actually makes Glamrock Bonnie take this Golden Freddy-like role. And yes, I know Andrew was the real vengeful spirit, not Cassidy, but I still feel like in this case the parallel is still intended to exist. Think about it, Cassie has every reason to be vengeful, while people debate to this day whether it was really Gregory or the Mimic that dropped the elevator to kill Cassie at the end of what I assume is a true ending. I'm also aware of the mascot suit and Help Wanted 2's update that people say implies that the Scooper ending was canon, but honestly, I think that one is a misdirection. I just don't think it makes sense narratively to be the ending. And I'm open to being proven wrong, but it just seems very unlikely to me. Anyway, Cassie has every reason to be vengeful because of that ending. And when she falls down the elevator, she seems to still believe it's Gregory there. It's very likely that Ruin's sequel, whenever it inevitably comes out, could either be about the Mimic trying to turn Cassie against Gregory, Cassie just trying to get revenge on him herself without any influence from the Mimic. It could be about Cassie becoming the new Vanny. It could be about Cassie and it could even be from Gregory's perspective about Cassie trying to hunt him down after escaping the Pizzaplex. But I don't really think that Cassie is going to realize that it was the Mimic tricking her. Again, if it was the Mimic, and if it was Gregory, I also don't think she's going to take that very well. Of course, all this is assuming she escapes the Pizzaplex, because it is quite possible that she could just again end up possessing Glamrock Bonnie and hunting him outside of a pizzaplex after escaping while possessing Glamrock Bonnie. It may seem like a crazy concept, but given that the Vanity Network has shown the ability to teleport animatronics across, I wouldn't really be too surprised. And this is another thing. Bon Johnsy had a very different take on what the Vanity Network is compared to me about how it works. They focus more on the possibility of Glitch Trap just taking control of Cassie's mind and making her see things that aren't there, or making a lapse in perception. I personally don't agree with that. I personally think that there's actually a lot of really crazy sci-fi things going on here, because there's a lot of things that I think only work when you view it through that lens, like animatronics still teleporting. But I will say, you should still check out his video about that matter anyway. You can see if you personally agree with this video after seeing his great breakdown of that personally, and then you can really see if you agree about Cassie being able to escape that way, you know. It's also another important thing to mention that Glamrock Bonnie is currently the only Glamrock that we don't really know anything about. I mean, we know about how violent Monty is. We know about how cruel and narcissistic Roxy acts to anyone who's not Cassie at this point. We know about how Glamrock Freddy is the more normal of the bunch. And we know that Glamrock Chica just compulsively eats things, has such bad singing that it actually causes injuries, and that Glamrock Chica also happens to be the one who's most deeply under Glitch Trap's control, as evidenced by the fact that she audibly sobs in the game and moves very zombie-like. But Glamrock Bonnie, we still know pretty much nothing about him aside from the fact that he wasn't really evil at any point. I'd really say that all of these details are important to telling the story. In general, I think that Glamrock Bonnie is being built up because they're going to take on the role that Golden Freddy and later Shadow Freddy really did in the old games. This enigmatic, destroyed animatronic figure of great importance, where they just kind of show up, kind of like a plot device, but their actual importance has always been there. I think that's what we're going for. And I also still think Shadow Freddy himself and Shadow Bonnie are around, but that is, again, a topic for another day. I'd like to ask you one more time to please subscribe to Bon Johnsy. Go support their channel. And I guess that's it. Also subscribe here if you're watching the video still. I do need to hit 500 soon.